There's a moment where someone changes. You feel it before you can name it. Nothing obvious happened. No argument, no rupture, no clear before and after. But something in the air between you shifted. A slight coolness in how they look at you. A new economy in how they respond. A quality of attention that used to move toward you and now moves past you. And you're standing there, running back through the last few conversations, trying to locate the thing you did wrong. But here's what's strange. You didn't do anything wrong. What changed wasn't you. What changed was the room. The title on someone's email signature, the car in the driveway, the table they got seated at without having to ask. And somehow, invisibly, inexplicably, that change reached inside your relationship and rearranged something you didn't know could be moved. This is the part nobody talks about clearly. Not because it's rare, because it's uncomfortable. Because understanding it requires looking at something that implicates not just the people who changed on you, but the part of you that watched it happen and quietly wondered if you deserved it. And if you're honest, really honest, you didn't just notice it, you stayed. Maybe you told yourself it was temporary, that they were adjusting to a new season of their life, that the warmth would come back once the newness settled. You gave it time. You gave it grace. You made yourself a little smaller, a little less demanding, a little more patient. And somewhere in that process, without meaning to, you confirmed something for them. That the new arrangement was acceptable, that you would absorb the shift without requiring them to account for it. There's a part of you that already knew something was wrong. You felt it in the way you started choosing your words more carefully around them, the way you stopped saying certain things, the way you became almost imperceptibly a slightly edited version of yourself in their presence, as if the real version might now be too much or not enough, depending on the day. That editing process is important because it wasn't weakness. It was your nervous system doing what nervous systems do, tracking the social environment, reading the signals, and adjusting to keep you safe inside the relationship. But that adjustment had a cost. And the cost was that it worked. It kept things stable. It kept you connected. And in doing so, it allowed the new dynamic to calcify around you like concrete. Here's the thing that most people miss when this happens. They frame it as a story about the other person, about their ego, their arrogance, their inability to handle success with grace. And sometimes that framing is partly accurate, but it's not the whole story. Because what's really happening, what's actually operating underneath the surface of every one of these situations, isn't a personal failing. It isn't a character defect unique to the person who changed on you. It's something human beings do, automatically, unconsciously, predictably. Something that runs through virtually every social relationship, in every culture, at every level of society. A behavioral pattern so deeply embedded in our wiring that most people go their entire lives without recognizing it in themselves. This isn't about bad people. This is about what power does to the human brain, and what the human brain does in response to it. Imagine standing on a floor that quietly tilts, not dramatically, not enough to make you stumble, just a few degrees, just enough that over time, everything on the surface slowly slides to one side without anyone appearing to push it. That's what a shift in power does to the architecture of a relationship. Nobody decides to care less. Nobody wakes up and consciously chooses to treat you like furniture. The floor just tilts, and things slide. And after a while, the new arrangement looks so normal that it's hard to remember what level felt like. Or think of it this way. It's like your reflection stepping half a second behind you. You're still there. Everything looks roughly the same, but the synchrony is gone. The thing that made it feel real, the mutuality, the presence, the sense of being genuinely met, has quietly fallen out of alignment, and you're the only one who seems to notice the gap. So what's actually happening in the brain? The human nervous system has been tracking social hierarchy for hundreds of thousands of years. Long before language, long before conscious thought was sophisticated enough to analyze relationships, the brain was already doing the math. Who has resources? Who has authority? Who has the capacity to help or harm? Who is above and who is below? This isn't a metaphor. There are specific neural circuits, particularly in the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system, that are dedicated to processing social rank. And these circuits don't operate slowly, thoughtfully, rationally. They operate fast, beneath awareness, before you've had time to decide how you want to respond. When someone in your social world rises, gains status, gains resources, gains the kind of visible power that other people respond to, your brain registers that shift immediately, and so does theirs. Here's what most people don't realize. The experience of gaining status is neurologically activating. It triggers dopamine. It triggers a form of the threat-reward system. The brain begins to categorize the social landscape differently. People who were peers get quietly reclassified. People who were once equal begin to occupy a subtly different position in the mental model of who matters, who has leverage, who needs to be attended to. None of this is conscious. None of this is chosen. It just happens. Like a compass reorienting to a new magnetic field. And here's where it turns. The person who changed on you isn't necessarily aware they changed. From inside their experience, they simply feel more confident, more certain of their own perspective, less interested in managing other people's comfort. What reads to you as coldness reads to them as clarity. What feels to you like dismissal feels to them like efficiency. The gap between those two experiences is where most of the pain lives. But there's another layer to this, and it's the part that's harder to accept. The way power changes people isn't random. It doesn't change everyone the same way. It tends to amplify what was already there, quietly beneath the surface, held in check by circumstances that no longer apply. Think about it this way. When someone has nothing, or when their position feels uncertain, a certain social pressure exists to be agreeable, to be warm, to maintain the relationships that offer stability and connection. The vulnerability of that position creates a natural investment for genuine investment in other people. But remove that vulnerability, give someone security, recognition, a seat at a table they once had to look up at, and what happens to the warmth that was partly sustained by need? Sometimes it deepens. For people who were genuinely warm to begin with, security tends to make them more generous, more open, more capable of giving without the edge of anxiety underneath it. But sometimes, and this is the uncomfortable part, the warmth dissolves. Not into cruelty, just into indifference. A comfortable, unexamined indifference that doesn't even register itself as a change. And the people best positioned to notice are the ones who knew them before. The ones who remember what the warmth felt like when it was real. The ones who can feel the difference between being cared for and being tolerated. That's usually you. There's a particular kind of loneliness in this experience that doesn't have a clean name. It's not grief, exactly, because the person is still there. It's not betrayal, exactly, because nothing was promised. It's more like watching a version of someone you knew get slowly replaced by a version that looks the same, but doesn't quite see you the same way. It feels like pouring water into a glass with no bottom. You keep showing up. You keep being the person you've always been. You keep extending the same quality of attention, the same generosity, the same willingness to be present. And it keeps disappearing. Not dramatically, just quietly, into a space that used to return something and no longer does. And the strange, disorienting thing is that from the outside, nothing looks wrong. The relationship still exists. You still talk. You still occasionally occupy the same room. But the reciprocity that made it a relationship rather than a performance has shifted. And you're the one carrying the weight of pretending you don't notice. Here's the counterintuitive truth that most conversations about this never reach. The people most affected by this pattern, the ones who feel it most acutely, who are most sensitized to the shift in temperature, who carry the confusion longest, are rarely the people who deserved it most. They tend to be the people who were most genuinely present before the shift, who showed up without agenda, who didn't need the other person to be important in order to find them interesting. And there's a painful irony in that. The quality that made you a good person to be in relationship with, the genuine regard, the lack of hierarchy in how you showed up, is precisely the quality that makes you most visible when it disappears from the other side. The more consistently you treated someone as an equal, the more jarring it is when they stop doing the same. This is why power changes people in your direction specifically. Not because you're weak, because you were real with them when many others weren't. And now that reality is being exposed to a new set of conditions. Conditions that reveal what the relationship was actually built on. Here's the part that doesn't resolve neatly, because it shouldn't. Understanding why this happens doesn't make it hurt less. Knowing that the brain has ancient circuits for social hierarchy doesn't make it less personal when those circuits reorganize someone's warmth away from you. The mechanism being automatic doesn't mean the impact is anything other than real. What you felt was accurate. The shift you noticed was real. The version of the relationship that existed before wasn't imagined. It was genuine within the conditions that sustained it. And its absence is a real loss, even if nobody announced it. You don't need to perform forgiveness. You don't need to explain it away. You don't need to decide right now what the relationship means or whether it's worth the energy of maintaining. What matters is that you stop editing yourself to accommodate a dynamic that was never actually about you. Because here's what this ultimately exposes, not about them, but about the nature of connection itself. Some relationships are built on genuine recognition, on something that persists regardless of position, regardless of circumstance, regardless of who the room decides is important this year. Those relationships are rare, and they tend to become more visible, not less, when conditions change, because they don't depend on conditions. Other relationships, and there are more of these than most people want to admit, are held in place by proximity, by mutual need, by a shared position in a hierarchy that made the connection feel equal. Remove the equality, and the connection quietly reveals its actual architecture. Neither type is a moral failure. Both are human, but only one of them is worth reorganizing your sense of self around. If someone only values you when you're harder to reach, when you're more impressive, when you occupy a position that benefits them to be close to, what does that say about the version of you they actually want? And perhaps more importantly, which version of you have you been performing? In which relationships, hoping that if you got it right, the warmth would come back? That question doesn't need an answer right now, but it's probably worth sitting with longer than is comfortable.